Welcome to a Get-In special. It's an idiot's guide to national hunt racing, and as luck would have it, we've got someone who's overly qualified. Right, Nate? Well,
oh, don't. I've had a shocker. I've travelled up from Newmarket here at Plumpton. I've got the waterproofs on. That was the right idea, but the trainers, I'm a little bit underprepared.
this is the last fence here. What do you think then, Sharky?
I am quite staggered as to the size of this beast. That's the first thing that, and especially under these conditions. I mean, it's going to be testing enough here this afternoon. Is this the standard sort of height?
Yeah, all fences, you know, they've got a set dimension. The difference with the fences mainly is the thickness at the top here. These are actually very, very forgiving. I know it's substantial, but it's not a stiff fence by any stretch of the imagination. The most interesting bit, though, is round this side, the takeoff side. Come around here. This is actually one of the few fences that I didn't fall at very much, actually, Jace. But this is the front of a fence, and obviously you've never jumped anything like this, but just looking at it, these are the basic things. This here, they call it the kickboard, and that's basically gives a horse a ground line so it can see the fence, see where to take off. That's obviously the protective rail halfway up the fence, and this is what they call the apron or the belly of the fence. Do you see the way this fence is? It's really rounded. So if you're going at speed, the horse is, you know, if you do get a little bit low, it will go with the obstacle.
But with the brush.
Yeah, with the brush. This is a lovely.
So as a fence, as an inviting fence as you could have, this didn't even catch Luke at.
Not often I agree with you, but you're right.
So how far are we talking about these horses standing off outside of the fence, Luke? It always amazes me how strong and powerful they are.
Yeah, I mean, when they say stand off outside the wings, they mean the actual wings themselves there. It will stand up. You're doing 25, 30 miles an hour, and then you go down to something like this, and they would land literally as far the other side. So it's pretty exhilarating. Go on, my son. This is the most substantial fence on the racecourse. This is the open ditch. Really does take a bit of jumping, especially with this clown lying in it. Get up, you idiot.
Now, tell me about this. What's all this about?
Yeah, well, this is, as you can see, much, much bigger. People don't, there's no ditch, you know, obviously in days gone by, there would have actually been a ditch here, just for safety reasons. That's all filled in now. Do you know, the funniest thing is, we'll look at the size of it compared to a plain fence. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah, already from one side to the other, you know, we're talking a good 5-6 foot spread just on the fence alone.
The funny thing about the open ditch is that sometimes a horse that has been flippant with a normal fence will actually jump this better because it's got to. You know, it makes, you know, with this bit, the board here, it really makes a horse look at it. You know, you watch a horse go to a ditch, they'll always drop their head to look at the ground line.
We're winging downhill here nearly, right? So it's got to be different. Some horses jumping uphill, downhill, it makes a difference to them.
It's much harder, when you think about it, it's much harder for a horse to jump downhill because if you're going like that, you can't get the push the same. This is probably the trickiest fence on the course here. You know, they run down to it, so you're going at a really good gallop. So it takes a bit of jumping, but it's a fair size, isn't it?
Is this the standard size again, this spread and everything else? Is that what you will find?
They do vary, but again, as I was saying to you, if you're going to stand...
You keep saying that it's soft, that they go through it. I tell you what, that takes some brushing through.
This, my little tubby friend, is the last hurdle. Obviously much different to a fence.
Yeah, well, much different, but I mean, from a complete novices, I'm surprised how big these are as well. You know, we always talk about the difference between the hurdlers and the chasers. This still take a bit of jumping.
Well, you try and push it. It just shows you, you know...
Well, they're solid.
Yeah.
That is solid. That takes... I mean, we often see them kicked over, don't we?
Well, when the ground's soft like this, obviously the hurdles will flatten out because, you know, you're going at 30 miles an hour, and if you take the top bar, they're obviously going to knock down. On faster ground, they don't. The biggest danger with hurdle races is if you've seen it plenty of times, where there's lots of horses, you know, 10, 11, 12 runners, and then one makes a mistake, so that one will hit it. And sometimes you'll hear a jockey say, I hit a swinging hurdle, because it will go down, then ping back up. And as you come there, it'll hit the horse's front legs and tips them over. So obviously that's horrific. The other one is, again, in big fields, sometimes you'll go down to a hurdle and it makes a hell of a clatter. If you get a chance, go and stand down by last or the second last hurdle, and you hear the noise, and sometimes horses just panic. They hear that sort of clattering and they just come up, and then you're in the lap of the gods. You just pray that you get to the other side. You get something like we're mentioning Bouvedere. They always flick through. They'll always hit that top bar because they just don't waste any time in the air. Yeah, I'll tell you, when you ride a really, really good hurdler, it's as exhilarating as it gets. I like jumping fences. I prefer jumping fences, funny enough.